Welcome to Gleneagles, here at the Commsvision studios, sponsored by Sky. Over the next couple of days, we'll be speaking to some of the most influential people from across our industry. Hello and welcome to the Commsvision studio here at Gleneagles. With me I have Iain Sinnott, Sales and Marketing Director for VanillaIP. And Iain, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
I know that one of your big things at the moment is cloud and SaaS. But for the comms channel, we've sort of lagged behind a bit in terms of cloud and SaaS adoption and resale.
Well, it's an interesting area because businesses set off in different directions and sometimes you have to choose a direction because it's diverse to the one the bigger players are taking, because if you fight them on their battlefield, you tend to come off badly. One of the things that we saw within the marketplace was that it's not so much the technology or the products or even the solutions that we're trying to deliver, it's the method of consumption. It's how the customer interacts with the product and how that interaction with products and product providers is changing over time. So for me, cloud isn't anything to do with the technology or the location of the technology. It's the way in which it's consumed and the way in which it's delivered. So UBOS, as we will always say, is the core to our business. It's a cloud management platform, an environment, an ecosystem that's designed to manage products that we produce, products that we bring in from third parties, products that resellers and our distributors bring in from other parties. But within that, we control not just the product, the deployment, but also the commercial and contract rules and the whole relationship between the customer and the tools that they take on board. So we see cloud and have always seen cloud as the game. And we've existed in a marketplace which has been a more traditional consumption model of products that aren't actually bolted to the wall of the customer's office. Okay. So there's a difference between where the hosted world started and that sort of general trend to the real cloud world. But when we talk about Digital Britain, which is kind of the backdrop to all of what we're talking about now, Digital Britain means customers engaging with technology to produce a business outcome, and in order to do that and in order to de-risk that, they have to be able to do it in a cloud model. And the cloud model is the consumption model, not the technology model.
You mentioned risk. Customers are risk adverse. The channel is often risk averse in terms of getting into a new technology area where they're not entirely certain about the deliverables or the revenue model. How do you de-risk something that's quite new, like cloud and SaaS?
Well, we spent a year talking about it internally until I finally drew a diagram that we all agreed with. And basically, in order to de-risk the adoption of technology, you have to take away the contractual obligation. Okay? You have to trust that your product's going to do the job. You have to understand the job that it's supposed to do. And when you deploy it, you have to make sure that it is correct, that people are trained, that people start using it, because unless somebody actually adopts something, there will be no result. You know, if I give you a bucket to collect water from the well and you don't take the bucket, it's not going to work for you. Yeah, you're going to come back with a handful of water. So there are elements of the process that you have to go through in order to do it. But if we make an agreement as a seller and a buyer that if the outcome isn't achieved, I'm going to take my product back and we'll try another one together, then you don't have a risk. I have a risk. I have a risk that the revenue I think I'm going to get, I'm not going to get because I can't actually deliver a result. It's non-factual. It doesn't materialize. So I'm now as keen or keener than you for you to see a benefit within your organization, because only when you trigger a benefit do I get my lifetime value. And I know I'm going to get a lifetime value because once it works, you're keeping it. But until you decide that we've signed off on it, I don't see my revenue. So I'm vested in the whole process.
The internet giants know this model. Mm-hmm. It's a consumption model based on you use it often for free. It's monetized for advertising. If you don't want to use it anymore, don't use it anymore. Yeah. And the tie-in is that you become so accustomed to it and so dependent on it that you can't be without it.
Well, the freemium model is really interesting because this starts to affect the whole sales process. How do we engage with the customer to start with? How do we then evolve revenue from it? And this freemium model that's worked with a number of different technology plays in the consumer place is very interesting because you engage on something that can be free. You then rely on the customer wanting to enhance that, so they buy the enhanced version, the premium Netflix proposition rather than the dip in and try sort of proposition. So you either get it that they're going to buy an enhanced version, or there's another revenue stream that comes through. So advertising on things like Facebook and that sort of thing is the revenue stream. I don't pay for anything. But in our mechanic, it is once we start to see that the cost that is being examined is the cost within the customer's business, not the cost of my product, because I'm prepared to take it back if it doesn't do a job. Then we start to investigate all of the challenges of the business. And I've got a sweetie jar full of different stuff that is going to be appetizing and attractive.
Give me some really relevant examples to the channel of this type of approach.
Okay, well, the common element and the sort of crossover point is the phone system to the UCaaS, the cloud proposition, the communication solution that enables flexibility in a business. The first job is to ensure that the PBX, the core communication, the dial tone stuff is catered for. So a reseller that can create a good baseline product and demonstrate to the customer that it achieves the same goals of their existing structure means that effectively you're going to take your shed from one concrete flooring and stick it on another. Nothing really changes, okay? But having re-established yourself in this new environment called cloud with your core PBX stuff going forward, we can now start to investigate in that cloud consumption model the challenges of the business. So I have customers who phone up, nobody answers the phone, and I lose the revenue potential of the customer phoning up. Well, first of all, you've got to identify the customer that was lost. Then you've got to identify whether you have a time limit on how quickly you have to get back to them, and then you have to have process, you have to have tools that allow you to do that. So that might involve call centres to monitor the calls coming through, SMS messages going out to a customer to say, we know we've missed your call, give us 3 minutes, we'll be back, and then some way of ensuring that call out in 3 minutes is made. Okay. So we're taking on a very realistic challenge which has got a cost to the customer, i.e. lost revenue, and we're going to apply a series of potential solutions and then work out over a period of time if we have achieved our goal. If the customer says that's great, we've met every abandoned call with an outbound call and we've got the same conversion success as we would do if we took the initial call, then we've done a great job. Okay. Cost of the product was probably next to nothing anyway. Cost of the result or the return on the result, massive. It's tangible and it's something that you can prove on a spreadsheet, on a graph, in a meeting. Exactly. Or more importantly, the customer can prove to you that it worked, which is a great way to have the relationship. So last question, looking to the future, you guys have been in the cloud space a long time. It is disruptive and the comms channel is starting to head that way. Yeah. Looking out over your next couple of years period, are there areas that you are really focused on or particular solutions or technologies that you think, wow, that's quite transformative for us? I think job number one is to get the mass of the business community to look at their own internal costs and to want to challenge them, because we all as a community have got some phenomenal tools, and as long as all of us in the community get a good share of the 75% of the marketplace that we haven't won yet, competition doesn't really exist. It's just how much can you grab while the competition is fairly relaxed, i.e. we're opening up new marketplaces, we're doing the work with the customers, and the better we do our work, the better we will eventually defend the land that we grab. Okay. So for us, it's enabling partners to create distinctive propositions, to accumulate or to accumulate together the various products and services that they believe should go to the marketplace, and then engage with the customer in a different way that relaxes and removes the stress of the early purchase, takes away the risk element in the customer, and gets the wheels a turning. Because then our business, because it's revenue, it's multi-layered revenue, is about initial product to start, and then layer. And although people talk about sticky products all the time, that's a very defensive, negative, sounds like entrapment way of looking at it. If you talk about revenue streams building on your side and business benefits building on the customer side, you're just on a journey together with your customer that just has never-ending return.
And the old win-win.
It's the old win-win. So we failed to invent a new way of saying that everybody's happy. So, and you know, it's such an exciting time. I was in mobile when it boomed, and that was really exciting. This has just got more business benefit. And I was saying to somebody earlier on, we don't have to think of ourselves as clever entrepreneurial businessmen. We're not Alan Sugar. We're Brunel. We're revolutionising British business. We have a responsibility to revolutionise British business, and we get paid along the way for doing the job. But we should be proud of the fact that our tools, our products, our capabilities will change the productive nature of UK business.
What a perfect note to end on. Ian, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.